And so I'm like getting choked up. Whew. Hey, it's Sue in the restricted section. Today I wanted to talk about the book Count Us In, Growing Up with Down Syndrome by Jason Kingsley and Mitchell Levitz. You might recall if you watched my book discussion of Attitude to Gratitude by Teresa Murray, I said that I would be reading this book in October and then discussing it because October is Down Syndrome Awareness Month. So this book is it's really a series of conversations with these two men, as well as sometimes their parents are part of the conversation, or their grandparents, or a few other people. But mainly it's these two guys speaking, and in case you're wondering, this one is Mitchell and this one is Jason. It was originally published in '94. This is a new edition that was published in 2007, and it does have a little section in the back where both of the men sort of give an update of what has been going on in their lives since then. And at the time that this was written, Jason was around 19 and Mitchell was around 22. And Jason was going into high school and Mitchell was just graduating from high school. And in my discussion of Attitude to Gratitude, I talked about how there's a common stereotype that people with Down syndrome are all alike. And I thought that this book was a really, really great example of how that's not true, because you have two different people with Down syndrome in this book, and it's very easy to distinguish their voices from one another, and you see that they both have very different likes and dislikes and passions and opinions on things. Mitchell is very passionate about politics, whereas Jason is more passionate about acting and theater. And Jason has been in, he was on Sesame Street when he was a child. I think maybe Mitchell was as well. But when Jason was very little, he was on Sesame Street, and he's also been in a couple of movies. He talks about one in here that he was in with Lee Majors. The Fall Guy. He was in The Fall Guy. I have not seen that, but you might recognize him from that. Yeah, and the book is set up, I saw some people, I read some reviews on Goodreads, and some people didn't really like the fact that the book is not chronological. It covers a span of about 3 years, and instead of putting it chronologically, it's put by subject. So we have, each chapter is a different subject. There's one on having fun, there's one on school, there's one on marriage and children, etc., etc. So you really have to pay attention to the dates when you're reading it, and there is, a little day that says like here, August of 1990, and then a little further in the chapter you have August of 1991. And so you do have to pay attention to what year it is, but I liked it being set up that way because you could easily see, how each of them grew and learned and maybe changed their opinions on things within that 3 years, where if it was chronological, I don't think you'd be able to pick up on that as easily. And that was another really great thing that I think this book showed, was that, people with Down syndrome can learn and grow even when they're adults. Mitchell is in his early 20s at the beginning, but you can really see that he does grow and change throughout the course of the 3 years. And then again, whenever they have their update at the end of the book, you can really see a big change in both of them. And this is, like I said, it's not technically written by them, because it is recordings of conversations that have just been transcripted, but it is verbatim. Like they've not been edited. This is written down verbatim the way that they said it. There are parts that are cut out just for, repetition and relevance and things like that, but it is, you can see where those parts have been taken out, and there really wasn't very many places. And parts of this book were really heartbreaking for, I believe, both Mitchell and Jason. Whenever they were born, their parents were advised to put them in an institution and to not have anything to do with them. They were told that they couldn't learn, That's obviously just not true at all. And they were both born in the 70s, I believe, which isn't really that long ago. So it's really sad to read that. I'm sure a lot of people with Down syndrome did get put in institutions then, but thankfully their parents both decided not to do that and to raise them. And it's very, very clear that the doctors were completely wrong. They're both, very interesting, I thought, people. They're intelligent. In the book, that Jason is saying what he would say to his obstetrician now if he had the chance. He says, "When I was born, the obstetrician said that I cannot learn, never see my mom and dad, and never learn anything, and send me to an institution, which I think was wrong. Today, we were talking about if I could see my obstetrician and talk to him. Here are the things I would say. I would say people with disabilities can learn. I would tell the obstetrician how smart I am, like learning new languages, going to other foreign nations, going to teen groups and teen parties, going to cast parties, becoming independent, being a light board operator, an actor, the backstage crew. I would talk about history, math, English, algebra, business math, global studies. One thing I forgot to tell the obstetrician is I plan to get an academic diploma when I pass my RCTs. I performed in The Fall Guy, and I even wrote this book. He never imagined how I could write a book. I will send him a copy so he'll know. I will tell him that I play the violin, that I make relationships with other people, I make oil paintings, I play the piano, I can sing, I am competing in sports, in the drama group, that I have many friends, and I have a full life. So I want the obstetrician will never say that to any parent to have a baby with a disability anymore. If you send a baby with a disability to an institution, the baby will miss all the opportunities to grow and to learn, and also to receive a diploma. The baby will miss relationships and love and independent living skills. Give a baby with a disability a chance to grow a full life, to experience a half-full glass instead of the half-empty glass, and think of your abilities, not your disability." It's really, really sad that people with disabilities weren't included and still aren't included. My sister, I've mentioned before that my nephew has Down syndrome, and she had to fight to get him into school with like regular public school with other kids, which she did her research and she wanted to do what was best for her son, and that's what she found. Her findings were that it would be best for him to be in school with other, non-disabled children. And she had to really, really fight hard to get him in there because they wanted to send him to a school that was just for, kids with learning disabilities and such. And it's still upsetting, I think, that people who are mentally or physically disabled are still so often excluded from things. And one quote I really liked from Mitchell says this about the book, about doing this book. He says, "Count us in means that everyone together are helping each other out by reaching out, by helping each other. Which, what it means is we want to be included. Count us in makes the future better for people with disabilities. Every single one counts because we are an important asset in the community and they need our voice." I really, really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really great to get to know these two guys and to see a little bit inside of the brains of two different people who have Down syndrome. And it was, at times, I was laughing. They were both funny guys, and at times it was really heartbreaking because they sometimes would talk about things that they want in life, and they really want to be like everyone else. And one thing that they both really wanted was independence. They wanted to live on their own, and for both of them it was something that took much longer than they wanted it to. And for Mitchell, he does end up becoming pretty independent, and he is involved a lot with politics, which is what he really was passionate about. He wanted to run for president. But Jason unfortunately had a bit of a setback because his father passed away from cancer, and so that, like, reading him talking about that at the end was like, I definitely cried because it was just, he talks about how he got really depressed. He was living on his own and he got really depressed and kind of stopped taking care of himself like he was supposed to be, which is a reaction I think that anybody would have to losing a parent, especially much sooner than you would expect to lose one. Yeah, so he ended up sort of having a setback there, but he got some roommates, some other men who have Down syndrome moved in with him, and he you know, everything worked out great in the end. But yeah, I think that this book is really important. I'm surprised that it's not more well known, honestly. I just really liked it. I think that it's really helpful in understanding not only just people with Down syndrome, but people with disabilities in general. You can get a little bit of insight into that as well, and to just see how great they are. Really, you know, like, I'd love to meet these guys and hang out with them. I think they'd be delightful. And so it's really sad to think that a lot of people with Down syndrome were put in institutions and not given the opportunities that these guys were given to grow and become, you know, great, fantastic people. Yeah, I encourage anyone to pick up this book. I don't know of any other books besides this and Attitude to Gratitude that are actually written by people who have Down syndrome. If you know of any others, please tell me, because I'd love to read them. And that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.